Welcome in to the Steelers Talk Mailbag. I'm your host, Jack Sperry, and this is one of my favorite segments to do all week because I get to talk with you guys directly and kind of address the questions that you have on the Pittsburgh Steelers directly here on the show. So if you want to get a question on next week's live show, you guys can go ahead and click that subscribe button right now because we film these during our live shows on Fridays every single week, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So you can click that subscribe button right now to join the most interactive Steelers YouTube community out there. We have a bunch of great people that tune into our live show every single week where, it gives you an opportunity to, build a community with some really great Yinzers that really bleed black and gold, that love this football team. So if you want a sense of community with your fellow Yinzers and you want to get a question on a future edition of the Steelers Talk Live mailbags, you can click that subscribe button right now. So we got a $10 super chat here from Omar's Burner. Says hopefully Russ can win the revenge game and that Madden will have Peyton crying post-game. I saw Ray Fittipaldo is speaking facts about Aiyuk. So if you guys didn't hear, Ray Fittipaldo said that he sees the Steelers either acquiring Brandon Aiyuk or Deebo Samuel in a trade before the end of the offseason. And I agree with Fittipaldo. I think it's going to be Deebo Samuel, because I think the 49ers just want to pay one of their receivers and pay them a big contract. I think they'd rather pay Brandon Aiyuk. All right, I think he's their all-pro. He was more productive than Deebo in their offense last year. He's Brock Purdy's favorite target. You don't get rid of somebody like that, all right? And the 49ers have said that they don't want to get rid of Aiyuk. But I think what they want to do is they want to unload Deebo's contract because he's had some injuries and he's had a little bit of a dip in production because Aiyuk has been so productive. And, they want to get rid of him post-June 1st because they save $22 million against the cap next year, not to mention in future years. And that's going to open up cap space to get a deal done with Aiyuk. And I think that for a third-round pick, I think that's a fair compensation for Deebo Samuel to come to the Steelers. I think he's an excellent fit. I definitely think that's a move that Omar Khan should be looking to do right now. Then we got one from Travis Odell. He says, #Steelers, who do you think is the next superstar on the roster right now? I would say this season, I really think Keanu Benton is going to break out. Keanu is so good, man. You watch him move. He moves in ways 310-pounders should not be able to move. And then you watch him on film, and his technique is awesome, and he plays with ferocity. He plays like a Steeler. With Cam Hayward going to be phased out here in the next 2-3 years or so, he's going to retire eventually. This interior defensive line and pass rush is going to be in good hands with this kid, and I think he's really going to have a breakout season this year. And this Steelers pass rush is just going to be absolutely disgusting with T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, Cam Hayward, and now Keanu Benton, who I think is going to have a superstar type of year. Then we got G Unit here. He says, would you rather trade a second-round pick for Deebo Samuel or sign Michael Thomas in free agency? I'd rather spend a third-round pick on Deebo, not a second-rounder, but if I had the choice between these two, I got to pick Deebo. I think that Deebo, he's not only got more tread on the tires than Thomas does, he's been injured less, even though Deebo does have a couple injuries on his resume. I think Deebo is the perfect fit for this Steelers offense. He brings a lot of rushing ability, brings a lot of yak ability, brings a lot of run-blocking ability. That's something that Arthur Smith would absolutely fall in love with. Would give you a legit number 2 option, give you a short area threat this team desperately needs right now. So I'd have to go with Deebo Samuel, round 2 pick. But what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comment section. Is a round 2 pick too rich for Deebo Samuel? If the 49ers say round 2 pick for Deebo Samuel or no deal, are you taking the deal? Let me know down there in the comment section. For today's pinned comment, YouTube's going to throw you an ad break here in just a couple of seconds. And when that happens, take advantage of that time. But let me know, would you trade a second-round pick for Deebo Samuel? Then we go on from Super Steelers Gaming, says, do you believe the Steelers could go 13-4? I think they could. I think they got to win most of the games that are going to be like 50-50 type games. Like, that's when Russ's clutch factor needs to come into effect, right? Because he's top 10 all-time in fourth quarter comebacks and top 10 all-time in game-winning drives. So he's one of the most clutch quarterbacks ever to play the game. Okay, so if you're playing against the Ravens or you're playing against the Bengals, right, or you're playing against the Eagles and the game is close late, you're going to have to rely on Russ to be that guy to, deliver the goods in the fourth quarter. We're going to find out this year if he's that type of guy still, and if he is, I do think 13-4 is reachable for the Steelers. Now, before we get to the rest of today's questions, make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We've got daily Steelers videos for free here on the channel. Breaking news coverage. So if they trade for a wide receiver, we're going to have breaking news coverage for you guys. Weekly live shows every Wednesday and Friday where we do our Madden Sims, and it's all 100% free, guys. So I really do appreciate your support. If you love the Pittsburgh Steelers, you bleed black and gold, you want the best damn spot to watch Steelers content on YouTube, this is going to be the place for you. Click that subscribe button right now. Let me go on from Trey Roberson. What's up, Trey? Says, who do you think gets more carries this year, Najee or Jaylen? That's a good question, Trey. I think it's going to be relatively the same. I'd have to probably say Najee gets more. I think Jaylen gets more third down work. I think Najee gets more short area work. You know, they're going to be used in different situations, but I think they're still going to have the same kind of setup where they're going to have Najee as kind of like the every down, take the beating type of guy, and then you got Jaylen in there as the curveball. And I think that system worked for them down the stretch, and I don't see any reason for them to switch that up heading into the season. So, Trey, good question, but I think it's going to be Najee Harris getting the most carries for this team this year. Then we on from Jackie B. Says, who has been the surprise standout in Steelers OTA practices to this point? So I'd say the person that surprised me the most, probably Darius Rush. Because Darius looks like he could be a little bit of something here, man. He looks like he could maybe be a starter this year. Now, I'm not going to say he's going to start over Joey Porter Jr. and Dante Jackson. I'm just saying he looks like somebody that could be capable of being a starter in the league. He's making plays all over the place. He's getting pass breakups. He's had a couple of interceptions in practices this year. He looks like the way that I was kind of hoping Corey Trice Jr. would be looking. Now, obviously, Corey is still coming back from his injury. He's not 100% yet. So hopefully Corey starts looking like he can be a legit player when he eventually gets back to full speed. But Darius Rush has been a very pleasant surprise to me at Steelers OTAs. Now, who's your guy? Let me know down there in the comments section. Which Steelers player do you think will have a surprising breakout season this year? Is it Calvin Austin III? Is it somebody else? Is it Quez Watkins? Is it Van Jefferson? Is it Corey Trice Jr.? Let me know down there in the comments section which Steelers player is going to have a surprise breakout. Then we got one from Your Sports Now. It says, what post-June 1st player is it likely we see in black and gold? I would say probably I have a feeling it's going to be Deebo Samuel. I have a feeling it's going to be Deebo because I think the 49ers want to keep Brandon Aiyuk, but they don't want to pay two receivers massive contracts, right? So I think what they do is they wait past June 1st, they trade Deebo to the Steelers for like a third-round pick, and then they give Brandon Aiyuk that massive $30 million a year contract that he wants. So if I'd have to pick one player right now, I'd probably think it's going to be Deebo Samuel. Now, make sure you guys like the video if you haven't already. If you are a Steelers Talk Real one, really do appreciate all of your guys' support. If you click that subscribe button, if you watch our videos every day, you guys are the lifeblood of this channel. So if you're a real one, make sure you click that thumbs up icon right now. Next question here comes from Kurgan Cole, a $10 Super Chat, 69 cents as well. It says, who do you think will fill the corner slot role? Right now it's Josiah Scott, who's getting most of the first-team reps. But Beanie Bishop Jr. is impressing me, man. Undrafted free agent out of West Virginia, super productive, had a lot of ball production there with the Mountaineers last year. He's been productive every single year in college, actually. So he's a little bit undersized, but that's fine for a slot corner. And the Steelers have been saying this whole time, he's going to have an opportunity to compete for the starting slot spot, and he's looked damn good, man. I think he's looked better than Josiah Scott. So if they don't get Cam Sutton, if they don't bring in Patrick Peterson to play the slot, right now, out of the guys on the roster, I think Beanie Bishop Jr. might be the best guy at their disposal. Then we got one from Offsides Edits here. It says, why get a guy like Aiyuk? We don't need an expensive wide receiver. We need Michael Thomas, a cheap, reliable receiver, especially when we are going to be a very run-heavy offense. So Offsides, here's what I'll say about Michael Thomas. With a guy that's had that many injuries and has not been on the field all that much, that's not necessarily who I'd call reliable because he's not reliable, he's not reliably on the field, right? So that's the big thing with Thomas is that he's getting older and there's been reports about him not being a good teammate in the locker room. Now, listen, if you're not going to trade for a guy, out of the free agency options, Michael Thomas is a good fit, all right? He'd be a solid number 2 guy, good hands, good short to intermediate route runner, legit red zone threat. So I don't have any problem if the Steelers get Michael Thomas. All right. And I don't want Aiyuk necessarily. I think that Deebo Samuel for a round 3 pick, I'd take that over Brandon Aiyuk for a first. I think Deebo is a perfect fit for this offense, legit number 2. George Pickens and Aiyuk won't be going at it as to who's the number 1 guy. That'll be nice. I think Deebo Samuel would be a good one there. Yes, you have to pay a 3rd-round pick to get him, but I think he does bring more value than Michael Thomas. Then we got one from Sammy Steeler. Says, if Russ gets hurt for a couple of weeks and Fields comes in and plays just as good, if not better than Russ, who would you go with when Russ is back? So I think it depends on how good Russ plays. I think if Russ is playing really good and then Justin comes in and he plays really good, I think you still got to go with Russ because if you're a team, because you got to think of it from this perspective. Okay, when you get to the playoffs, who do you want running your offense? Do you want a successful Russ who's been to 2 Super Bowls and has all the playoff experience and won't be scared off by the moment? Or do you want Justin Fields who has got no playoff experience, no Super Bowl experience? And, if you look at the history of the NFL, guys with 0 playoff experience usually don't get to the Super Bowl, and they usually don't even win a playoff game in their first stint in the playoffs. So if the Steelers really want to go out, try to win a Super Bowl, if Russ plays well, gets hurt, Fields comes in, plays well, unless Fields is way better than Russ and he's playing at an MVP type level, I'm probably still sticking with Russ because I want to go and win a Lombardi. So Week 18 starter, let me know down there in the comment section who's going to finish the season as the Steelers starter this year. Type RW if you think it's going to be Russell Wilson, or type JF if you think it's going to be Justin Fields. If you want more content from me on social media, I put a lot of Steelers updates, OTA clips, all that great stuff on my X account at Jack_Sperry, and then at SpareDog.football on Instagram if you want more NFL general content. Thank you guys so much for all of your support. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And until next time, here we go, Steelers.